a world premiere event for Outsiders.
How many people want to rumble in the jungle?
3 guys on this team that got it. Welcome all to episode 18 of the Win and In podcast. I am your host, Eric Dauernheim. I am with my usual guests here today, Mr. Gabe Holstein and Jonathan Wyatt. And today we are going to be talking about the new BNR announcement, the Proquest metagame that we've seen so far. Indianapolis is right around the corner, so we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we might get into a few other things. But those are the big 3 topics today. Let's get started. Gabe, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day, nice and cold, staying in the house playing games, so I can't complain.
Yeah. How about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's starting to get cold around Texas, or at least it's planning to. So I'm looking forward to staying indoors.
Well, after this, I'm going to be outside grilling hamburgers because it is never cold out here in the desert. So yeah, that's what we got going on. But you know what?
That sounds so good.
Yeah. I'm looking at our attires, and so for those Spotify listeners, we're all very casually wearing t-shirts and sweaters and sweatshirts, and I think that it goes pretty well with kind of how it's been. The Proquest season is officially over. Today is the last day. None of us are playing in a Proquest today. That's also why it's been a little longer since we've gotten this last podcast out. We're on the Proquest grind, playing Proquest every weekend. We usually record on Sunday, so it's a little tough. So sorry about that, guys. But it's over now, and now there's another bit of a lull until the new set Outsiders comes out.
And we got another week to grind, and then...
Well, so that is a good point.
Don't forget.
That is a very good point. Me and Gabe and a few other teammates, we are going to be in the Calling Indianapolis. We are going to all be participating in that calling and hoping to take home some Goldfoil legendaries, get from the top 8.
Oh, yeah.
Our time is, we might be dressing a little casual Sunday, but we are definitely still on that grind until next weekend for sure.
Yeah, trying to discover what the meta is now based off of what's happened recently. So.
It's never a dull calling I'm going to, I swear. Every calling has some BNR announcement right before. So let's just get into that one. So the most recent banned and suspended list, the big hits are Belittle and Winter's Well, as well as Amulet of Ice and Hypothermia. All these cards are either banned or suspended until Icelander LLs, but they're gone. They're out of the meta for the foreseeable future. There's, Sneep has made a video on, I'm in that video with talking about the tier list and whatnot, and everyone and their mother has made a video as well. And I gotta say, I think, including myself, there were so many overreactions in the beginning. But now things are kind of calmed down and emotions are kind of, settled. What do we think? What do we think about these new bannings?
So I think some of them really hit the mark, but I do think that there are some that miss the mark, especially towards Oldhim and Icelander particularly. But overall, I think that this ban restriction announcement's pretty good. So
okay. So go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. No, you got Jonathan.
One of the things I think was kind of underplayed, since we kind of introduced the idea of some of them being overplayed, but I think some of the underplayed ban restriction was towards the Belittle side. And one of the reasons I think that one was kind of interesting was just because I don't think people really understand the power of Belittle in Fi, because realistically, whenever you had the Belittle or Art of War on turn 1, you would arsenal that, and since you had Blossom of Spring, you would pop that, get your free Belittle, so you could have a full red hand, or you could have that red hand with your Art of War, right? So you get everything for free at that point, which would allow you to have a second turn kill swing, right? Which sped up the game incredibly quick. So I think people were kind of underestimating the power of Blossom of Spring Belittle and what you could do with that combo in 5 in particular. So I do think kind of getting rid of that combo or not giving people access to it, especially when they got rid of all these hyper fatigue kind of cards from other classes, I think that kind of helps nip that in the bud a little bit, which I think allows for a little bit longer gameplay, which is something that I prefer a little, like rather than getting killed on turn 2. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
But yeah, it does feel like Fi is going more. It definitely slows down a little bit. It doesn't get to go as wide on certain turns because Fi does need a blue to be effective on his turn. He needs 1 blue, and Belittle was at access to blue. So that's no longer the case. So I do think Fi does slow down a little bit, but a lot of people are saying, Fi is still good. Nothing has changed. And I'm not too sure about that. I personally think Fi isn't going to be S tier, isn't going to be on top of the world anymore with Icelander. I think Fi is going to settle down with every other aggro hero.
Yeah, I still think you can like swing together some really interesting turns on Fi, but I think for the most part, like that will really hurt like people that aren't ready for facing Fi already. So I don't know. I feel like if you have a high skill level, I don't think Fi would be the aggro hero to move towards for this upcoming season, because I think the winner was Briar. So
I think so too. What's your takes, Gabe?
Yeah, kind of the same idea. I was kind of stoked that Fi got that little bit of a nerf because, like you're saying, OTK basically. They can ranch you real quick. I was really grateful that I think hypothermia was a good one to get rid of for certain. Witch's Wail was definitely a little extreme, just from everything that you said. But I think Icelander definitely did something to calm it down because, I don't know, I felt like every matchup going into that was not a rough matchup, but as Icelander, you feel pretty favored going into most decks, especially with it being.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I could be biased though.
As a Briar player, I'm not satisfied with this right? Icelander moves. So
not satisfied. All right, I feel fine. I mean, I'm happy to hear those.
I like Amulet of Ice as a card. I think it has an interesting. I think it has an interesting payoff.
Banned, or do you think it's fine?
I wish that it was still in the meta. I think that the card that should be banned is Insidious Chill.
Okay.
Because I think it has a more persistent discard effect that can be played out multiple times during a turn, especially if you're playing against Lexi, right? Which isn't fun to be as the aggro player and actually over punishing, I think. And then similarly with Icelander, because it's so persistent, it allows them to essentially keep turns up where they're not really doing a lot, but they've shut you down for so long that you just can't do anything back, right?
Right. I do think Insidious Chill is needed for Icelander just to be able to have a chance versus aggro, because they do need to have that pivot. I'm okay with Amulet. I do like Amulet Ice as well. And oftentimes when these bans happen, I think, oh, cool, this hero's not going to play it anymore. But then I think, oh, dang, this hero just lost it. So like Lexi just lost Ice, or that card, and it's like, damn, yeah, Lexi would have, wasn't punishing the format. I kind of wish she still had it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you get collateral damage. But I myself, I tend to personally agree with the Amulet of Ice over Insidious Chill. And to your point, Gabe, with hypothermia, I actually 100% agree with you there. For the most part, I really liked what LSS did with Icelander. I do think Icelander was one of those decks that a good Icelander player could beat any matchup. And where that, that's awesome, that's cool, but it's like, I think there should be some, rock, paper, scissors type going on here where you don't just win every matchup. And that rewards skills for sure, but this still allows for a skill to happen. Icelander is no way dead here. And so taking out hypothermia just takes out your guaranteed wins against some of the decks like Briar and even Dash that really relies on that go again. And so it just allows those heroes to have a better chance. That's all. Icelander is still going to be very good. Icelander will still be present in the meta. It's just going to take more skill, which already took a lot of skill to play Icelander. It's going to take more to be able to pilot against the more aggro decks.
Yeah, and to your point, I do think that hypothermia is probably the best ban because I feel like it's actually opened up more arguments for players to pick their hero, right? You know, I haven't heard of Viserai speak until after hypothermia was banned, and now it's like it completely makes sense, right? So it's like, you know, people are already ready for bringing in their heroes that they've kind of just been sitting on because of this. So I think it really has allowed for a lot of opportunity, and I think hypothermia is just probably one of the better bans, right? It was too free because it was free,
right?
So yeah, and it provided a lot of agency for Icelander, probably a little too much agency, but
yeah. It definitely was made for her. It was used also by all other ice heroes, but definitely most effectively with Icelander. Let's get into the final ban, which is Winter's Well. You know, this one affects my guy, but the more I looked at it, there's still Oldhim is still very much going to be in the meta. He shouldn't have been at C tier, which I put him at. So if you want to see me make that mistake, go watch that video. But I think he's actually still very much A tier, maybe even S tier. And here's the reason why. I know I'm an Oldhim fan, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But when you were playing aggro Oldhim, a bad turn was the turn that you were swinging with the Winter's Well. That was just a bad turn. Now, luckily, Winter's Will was a good weapon that even your bad turn was a decent turn because at least you're giving them or you're threatening a frostbite. But Oldhim really didn't want to swing that hammer to begin with. So when you're saying missing the mark, I do think that banning the hammer did kind of miss the mark because I don't think the hammer was the problem with Oldhim. Oldhim just has great value cards with his innate ability to be defensive at any moment to disrupt. And so I think an aggro Oldhim build is still going to be prevalent. And I think now we're seeing a fatigue Oldhim build that's still going to be prevalent as well. It's just a matter of you might see different blues so that Time Fist always comes in for 4. But now you're just making Oldhim just to have a lesser weapon that just doesn't dread a frostbite, but could still come in with the same damage. It's going to take a bit of a drop. He's going to take a little bit of a drop, but not by that much, honestly.
Yeah, and I personally feel like Oldhim is still going to be one of the best decks, and I think he's actually going to be quite represented at the top 8 still, coming into these future events. I do think that you probably had a couple people drop off because they're playing a play style where you probably have to think a little bit more, have a game plan ready, right? And it's just not as enticing to play fatigue in this game for some people. Right. However, I do believe it is a valid play style, and I think given that the meta change that happened, I think it's probably one of the most valid play styles to play right now. So
I know, just that a lot of people don't like playing against fatigue. I don't quite understand it. It allows you to play your whole deck. You know, you get to see your whole deck.
And look, like as fatigue is like coming back into the meta, you have all these conversations coming back up about the people that don't like it, and now you starting to hear more conversations about a time clock being implemented. And
oh man, yes,
I'm not sure if that's kind of the arguments that we should be bringing forward now. However, I do think that Oldhim will probably be one of the more prevalent heroes, and to my surprise, after an initial look, I do think that he probably may be one of the best heroes. So.
Yeah, I think especially after this ProQuest season, he is one of the most winning heroes from this ProQuest season, and he's racking up points, here and there. I think after this ProQuest season, he's going to get to a point where all he needs to do is win a Pro Tour or Worlds or a few callings, and then no more Oldhim. Goodbye, Oldhim. I think he's getting there.
Oh man, that's kind of weird to say because I remember when he first came out, like it was just the biggest joke that like Oldhim he would go to time, right, and then it'd always be a draw,
I remember that.
and like that was just such a joke, but now he's really inching up there. I mean, didn't he just in like the first 2 weeks he got like 150 points or something like that?
He's killing it right now. Like basically, if you wanted to win your ProQuest, if you would have Oldham, you had a very good chance to do so. So, he's been racking up points. So so that's the bannings. I think it's going to be cool to see what comes out of the Calling Indianapolis. That'll be the first big tournament that we see these bannings are in place. So we'll see some different heroes, I'm sure. We were mentioning Briar earlier. Briar gets a resurgence. She doesn't lose anything. In fact, she just gains better matchups.
Games.
I could see Dash doing it as well. It'd be interesting to see what new heroes come out of the Calling in the top 8 of Indianapolis.
Yeah, it is interesting that like Dash was one of those heroes that didn't really get a lot until Dynasty, and then you started seeing more play because of the Hanabi Blaster and then the Pulse Wave Harpoon mainly, right? Right. That was the main thing that brought her into prevalence, and now with Hypothermia gone, more people are talking about her, and then also just with Ultimate Fatigue being prevalent, I think she has an opportunity there. So really interested to see how many dashes come out.
And what build? We might even see a new build of Dash.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a new build going around.
The Mechanologist cult, they're quite creative.
You know what? For being steampunky, they're very innovative. They do figure out ways to make a new deck out of just the same old cards.
Yeah, I think as far as like an innovative community, I think Dash has probably been the most surprising for me. But I think that's really just on the back of Cleric Dash.
You gotta love that one. All right,
my favorite deck.
So speaking of Dash, let's get into the ProQuest season and what meta shaped, or like what meta that we saw that will help shape going into Indianapolis, but also going into Outsiders. What are the big heroes? And, we talked about Oldham. Oldham's most winning. That's the first one. Icelander, Icelander was good at Worlds, good before Dynasty, good now, right? I mean, Icelander still holds. Probably has a bit of a drop, but still a hold. Phi, again, big one. These are the 3 usual suspects, right? These are what we expect to see. Now, coming in at 4th, we got Dash, which is what we just talked about, the new one. Pulse Wave Harpoon, literally the only card really added. There's BIOS update too, and like you're saying, Hanabi Blaster, there's a new like style using that. So there is a few different Dash decks, but the most like biggest card to promote Dash is Pulse Wave Harpoon for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then finally, do you guys want to take a guess on what has been the 5th biggest hero to really put up results?
I want to say it's my girl, Briar. But
I want to say that, but he's leading into it.
Yeah,
it has to be something crazy. I'm going Reinar. Reinar hands down.
Leading me into the trap.
Now it's interesting you mentioned Reinar. Reinar actually has been very successful this ProQuest season. I think surprised to many how successful he's been. And that might be the incursion of Oldham and Icelanders, which might have put him in a good spot. But according to the results for the ProQuest season winners, it would not be Reinar. Or it could be Reinar, I guess. It's tied with Reinar, I suppose. So I guess, I guess you're right. Reinar is.
Let's go.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And Reinar might just be kind of an interesting pickup for people with the meta change as well. So
that's true. That is.
I am kind of curious how many people want to rumble in the jungle.
Your biggest fear was Phi, and that's kind of simmered down. So you still expect to see Old, still expect to see Icelanders. Just the only problem is that now Briar's coming out of the woodworks, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Briar's classic bad matchup.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I think that Reinar has like a really interesting value deck type playing style where you can block and play a little bit more mid range, or you could just go hard aggro, and with the Blood Rush Bellow turns, you can get some really epic things together. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see how many people try to pick up Rhinar and show their dominance through that play.
I mean, I think the last calling we had, no, I think they were Battle Cards. Yeah, so I think the last calling we had here in the States was at Worlds, and we had a Rhino winner. So the Rhinos are out there for sure. And wouldn't surprise me if we see one in the top 8 for Indy. I think that could be a pretty big hero to play for sure. He lost nothing. So I mean, if anything, his matchup just got better. So we'll see.
Yeah, and this is the time to experiment. So
this is me and Gabe have about a week to figure it out, but
too easy, dude. Too easy.
Hopefully you make the right medical, right?
Yeah, that's the big thing. So the other hero that's tied with Rhinar. So Rhinar, you could say Rhinar's 5th, tied for 5th, is Dromai.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know,
right? That's another surprise. So you got a tie for the top 5, Rhinar and Dromai, but these are heroes that are traditionally looked as like, underdogs that are seeing some results. So very happy to see the meta be as diverse as it is.
Oh yeah.
And with these new bannings, it should even get more diverse. I'm actually pretty stoked for that.
Yeah, and I think with like the relevance of like a more red line Dromai that just hits for the 0 for 4s and goes at it, like I think that's like been really powerful just seeing it at the Proquest, and I've been really enjoying that. Seen some really good players pick that up, so
we'll see. We're seeing that Red Hot come back. Like
yes,
ooh, that's hot.
Yeah, like that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. And I like that game style too. They're running like 3 remembrances and just like to get back like your like Red Hawk targets. It's pretty cool. I respect it. And I want to mention this. I'll do a little honorable mention because one of our teammates, Adam, was trying to get the first points on the board for Arachne, but Arachne got points on the board this ProQuest season.
Sorry,
he got 2. Arachne has 2 wins. The same person back to back. Good on him. I don't know his name. I have to look that up.
We can have it linked.
Yeah. Let's do that because hey, that's solid.
Do the champion.
But yeah, Arachne, which everyone put in F tier. He got himself some points before Azalea.
Ouch.
Yeah. Powerful, bro. He's gonna win Indy, bro. He's gonna win Indy.
So I don't think we're gonna see Arachne in Indy, but I guess his matchups maybe got better. I'm not sure what the hell to think about Arachne. I'm not sure how to play that deck at all.
Oh god. Block, attack, block,
I guess.
Attack.
I don't know.
No.
All right.
Oh god, no. We'll have to wait till Outsiders to really see that.
Yeah, I imagine Uzuri's just going to take it by storm, the assassin class, and everyone's going to be on Uzuri. Because I don't know.
I've already committed. So.
I just think most times when LSS prints like a draftable set, like all the heroes are playable almost immediately, and like that's good. That's like credit. Like you want all heroes to be playable. I can't think until like Levia when a hero wasn't playable from the get go.
Yeah. Almost definitely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Well, I'm stoked.
Yeah, for sure. I'm extremely excited for Riptide. I think, that's the thing.
Ooh.
It's like I don't know what to think, right? Because like LSS, they really don't miss very often, right? And when they do, it's like it's barely off the mark. It's just right there. So like, I think that they have a really good approach to the game, and like as far as everything goes, like I think the 3 new heroes are going to be really exciting to play. I myself am leaning towards Riptide just because I think that yeah, right. I want traps that hit you, right? Yeah. I want stuff that that bites back a little bit. So I think that's kind of interesting. I am a little concerned because Uzuri's also like really cool.
She looks
so it's dope,
dude.
Absolutely. So it's like. I don't know. I got two heroes I like. I really want to aim towards, but like I really hope that Uzuri doesn't take any points away from Riptide. For me, right? Because I really want Riptide to be successful, and I don't want to, I don't want to be taken away from that, right? So
I think most Ranger mains will agree that Lexi is the top Ranger. Her bow, just being able to attack twice on arrows, like it's great.
Hair color.
Yeah. Oh, also, Lexi looks cool. Lexi looks dope.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So cool.
Now, I think it is time. There's a lot of Azalea lovers out there. A lot of people that have held on to her. So much to the point that when we saw Levi Roch the other time get top 8 with her, we were all stoked because okay, it's Azalea's time. So if not Azalea, then I do hope it's Riptide. There needs to be a shift. There needs to be a new best Ranger.
Oh yeah, for sure. And man, after all the talk of Azalea possibly coming back and being able to get some points on the board, I just think it'd be hilarious if she doesn't get anything. It's just up to the other Rangers still, right?
Yeah, I like that. Riptide has to carry, but that boy can carry. He's a big boy. He can do it.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that.
I do too.
The whole bow fishing thing is just so cool. The only thing is that it's maybe him being a swamp creature as an adult. That's neither here nor there.
That's gonna go to the lore. There's some lore about the diseases affecting the pit, so I'm sure we're gonna get on more about that. So
yeah, I was just curious along the art, just because it felt like such a drastic change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but that still doesn't stop me from liking the hero and the mechanics that he possibly has to offer. So I think I don't know, Riptide just looks badass.
Yeah, he does. He looks real cool. I'm also I'm excited for Katsu. He's been a hero in the dark. They brought in some these tiger claw or the crouching tigers. But I don't think I actually faced the Katsu in my top 8, but we haven't seen Katsu have, I don't think, any success to win a Proquest.
Last week we actually had a Katsu that hit the top 8 too, and I thought that was kind of interesting to see as well, because it's we haven't really seen Katsu's hit.
We haven't, so I think I'm excited for that. That Katsu gets a resurgence. Let Fi come down from the being the top ninja. Let's put Katsu back.
Katsu's just sick looking, man. Here.
Yeah, and kind of speaking to Katsu and, kind of Benji here in a way too, just because those two heroes are going to be brought back for Outsiders. Right. LSS announced with the product release that they're going to have 6 blitz decks, right?
Yeah.
With Katsu and Benji being included to those. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what LSS does for those blitz decks, because
what combo lines they'll put in Katsu.
Yeah, are we going to introduce new cards or what, right? Because if they do the crouching tiger thing in these blitz decks,
I kind of feel like that might be coming, at least for Benji.
Oh, that's wild, right? Really interested to see what's going to happen there. So there are a lot of exciting products down the line, and I believe there was a History Pack 2 blitz decks as well.
Yeah, let's get into History Pack because that just got announced, and it's coming out the end of February, or pretty much towards it. It's again going to be available in all different languages for Black Border, but big differences. No Marvels this time, which Jonathan, I know that makes you happy.
Yeah, you know who I am, right?
But yeah, it looks to have 3 fables, 14 legendaries. So it's we don't quite know what is going to be the fables or anything quite yet.
Not to interrupt you.
What is it?
They're in the product sheet area.
Do we actually?
It's going to be it's in the Heart of Grandor library, and then I'm imagining it was Corsham, but I can go double check.
No, that's awesome. That's I'm looking for that right now because I want to.
I'll go pull it up. I
do we know what the legendaries
When I
are?
made that TikTok. We do not know those.
Okay, I see the pro
They just
sheet
show the
now.
Fables. Yeah, you should see the 3 different ones.
Yeah.
Oh, we might know a New Horizons.
We do know New Horizons going to be. Yeah, so it looks like like Gabe said here, the 2 landmarks and the Grandeur of Valahai, which is kind of disappointing. Let's be honest. We all wanted the Heart of Vandal right there. Yeah,
Right?
it's like the number one. Like these gyms have just skyrocketed, and they do kind of need a reprint.
I mean, it makes sense that they're doing these ones since last time.
Well, you know what? Actually, I wonder. So every time they're supposed to, like these aren't going to be cold foils, right? These are going to be non-foils.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no rainbow foil Grandeur of Valahai. It's only in cold foil.
Yeah, because like they were always saying that Unlimited Everfest was coming.
Yeah, and it never came. So technically, the gym could be rainbow foil. Might be literally the only rainbow foil in the damn set.
Right.
So
I'm gonna go look. I feel like they.
Do you think that? How would you feel if they released an Unlimited Everfest like just all of a sudden?
You know what? Not the worst, and I'll tell you why. Because Everfest cards are like, even like Majestics are very like they've gone up in price. Like Swing Bigs, like $16. Or This Rounds on Me is up there too. Rain Razors, all these cards that were like, like $2 or $3, $5 Majestics are like triple in price now. So if they did come out with Unlimited, that would help to make those cards more obtainable. But it would be pretty funny just to be like, all right, yeah, there's this Unlimited that we always talked about.
Yeah, it's just kind of random at that point, right? Yeah. But on to your point as well, like Everfest is probably my favorite expansion set out of the 3, right?
Well, let's give it time, because I remember a lot of people were complaining with Everfest after it got open like a ton. It was like, Everfest was kind of boring. Introduced Starvo, would have missed. But now
people lost a lot of value. People lost a lot of value off of the Starvo, right?
It did.
God, I lost like
so
it was a $200 card. Now it's a $50 card. So
let's see what happens with Dynasty. We'll give it a little time. We already know Everfest does have something above Dynasty, and that it has been confirmed that they messed up with Dynasty. Surgical Extraction was less printed than it should have been. Regicide was the one that should have been less printed, and Surgical Extraction more printed, but got swapped for whatever happened. I don't know. So Everfest does have that over Dynasty, as in that it seems like everything was printed the way it should have been with Everfest. So we'll see.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I just love Everfest design. I think that it really hit a good mark. Just coming right after Tales of Aria. I loved that they introduced the first Marvels, right, with the with Starvo, and then all the Majestics just feel really strong in that set, right?
A lot of strong Majestics.
Given that let's not forget they did miss the mark on Mechanologist, and I believe Brute in that set.
Tebow came out for Mechanologist.
Yeah, and they also had that item too.
Yeah, but Pulse Wave Harpoon.
That's true. That was a much bigger
thing, right? Like,
much bigger.
Yeah, that thing's crazy.
Okay.
I mean, look, Swing Big's great for
Swing Big. Yeah, Brew got Swing Big.
You know what?
And they got that. There's a rare.
This is what I'll say about Everfest. Potions were annoying to get, and you got it every time.
Absolutely. I do think that after the generic Majestics, I think that the generics just fall off in that regard. So, there were some people that tried to like make some of those work, like Talisman of Tides and stuff like that, right? But
days,
we don't see that card being played anymore, though.
So now this is on LSS and you, James White. If you just gave us our Alchemist, we'd be praising Everfest even higher.
True.
But we will have to wait until we get our Alchemist. Oh boy.
Yeah. So yeah, just kind of like an interesting thing with Everfest being like kind of a part of the conversation lately. So kind of curious what they're gonna do there, but overall, yeah, thought the set was great, and yeah, I thought it was a very good flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm stoked for History Pack 2. I like that it's called Black Label. So you're getting black borders.
Like fancy or something.
And I don't believe we even get an English one this time. And the reason
I think that's good.
Yeah, it makes sense. And just if you didn't know, the reason is because at this point in the game, there was a much greater distribution, and there's a very good chance that you were able to get these English cards at this point, because we're past the Arcane Rising, we're past Welcome to the Raven, we're past Crucible. We're into the point where the game was really starting to pick up and where it's really starting to get more players. And these sets you can still go out and get today. I don't think that they cut off Monarch quite yet. Maybe they did, but I know people have a ton of Monarch. Tales of Aria is still out there. Everfest, so these booster packs for English are still available, still very obtainable, and you can still get legendaries that aren't non-foil. So you can actually have a better chance of just picking up the regular boxes.
And from what I understand, in the European market in general, there really is only like one distributor who controls like a lot of the card game supply, right? So it's like if they've got the Yu-Gi-Oh, the Pokemon, and all this other stuff, like there is a bit of a funnel in the Flesh and Blood product. So having an opportunity for more product to penetrate that European market will only help the game grow and give those people that didn't have the chance to collect then to have that opportunity now. So
yeah, this game is worldwide for sure. And it definitely shows, especially with Worlds. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the last little bit of information. None too big here. Just want to get what you guys think about the new February Armory kit coming up. The Pulse Wave Harpoon is the playmat for the People's Champ. And then
that art is so sick.
It's really cool. Like once you look at it, it's just like you're seeing this combat happen. It looks great. It looks really sweet.
Oh yeah, I just love the coloring on it as well. They did a really good job. It hits the mark.
It's gonna look so
hits
good.
all the right points that you want, right? And especially when it's foiled, the colors just.
This game does very good at foiling. That's for sure.
Chef's kiss.
It's so much more rich.
Now I'm gonna. You know what? I haven't complained yet, so I'm gonna complain right now. All right.
Ooh, okay.
I am tired of the second playmat that gets played, and it's like the Royal Throne Room. We have had this playmat as the second playmat for the last 3 months. This has been the whole Dynasty thing. I have 2 of these things. I don't want a third one. I don't want a chance to win a third one. I'm tired of seeing the art. I want if it was 2 Pulse Wave Harpoon mats, fine. I'm cool with that. I just don't want that art anymore. That's my complaint.
Maybe they overprinted that mat. Maybe
you know what? There was a lot of printing issues with Dynasty. It wouldn't surprise me. Something happened.
Yeah, but I think to your point, people do kind of want that rarity factor, and when a mat kind of gets overplayed a little bit, that it does become a concern. But speaking of a mat being overplayed, this is the first time I've seen it, so I'm curious in your initial thoughts here. But
yeah.
With the Auckland calling that's happening here actually coming up, right? Mm-hmm. They actually announced that they're going to be releasing the Sigil of Solace playmat again.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, that mat was only really released in like the real early seasons, and that the whole country was cut off at that time anyway. So like not a lot of people got that mat, so it was quite rare. But now it's coming back, so this is the first time that we're seeing a mat get replayed at a higher level of it as well.
Yeah, if I see that, Matt, that just tells me you're a New Zealander or you bought it from a New Zealander at this point. Like, it's cool, and I would love to get that mat. But yeah, it seems like it's native to the island of New Zealand.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I'm curious how many more they have left, because like it does feel like as far as like the games involved, like when they burn promos, I'm like all for that, right? Because it's like that's on you if you overprint promos. Like I feel like that's kind of a relatively cheap avenue, right? But when you burn a playmat, like
that's probably not good for the environment.
Nope.
Right, yeah, you gotta send that to the tire pit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that like getting these used out of these playmats and having people that have access to them, right? I think that's a good thing. Now, I wish that it was released at a different calling event. However, seeing these mats get recirculated is probably a good thing, I think.
Yeah. Like I think there is, when it comes to certain like events, like Worlds or Nationals or Pro Tour, let those playmats, be exclusive, right? Let those playmats be, one in a lifetime type deal. But when it comes to like callings and whatnot, like a cool playmat's a cool playmat. And especially when it comes to like an event where it's like a calling in one part of the world has the playmats, and so then the calling in another part of the world, totally different playmats. It's like you'll never be able to have that chance to get, all the playmats you might want or whatnot. So I'm okay so much with the reprinting of playmats, just as a player standpoint, because I want to play on something that's cool. And I'm not collecting playmats. I think when we're collecting, most people go after the cards. So.
Yeah, I used to be one of those people that just kind of like held onto my playmats a little bit more, like my pearls, right? Just clutching onto them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that these signals that we've been getting a little bit more is kind of like, hey, not everything should be collectible, and like at a certain point, like you are kind of hoarding it away from other people that really want those kind of things. So I mean, like we've been getting a couple newer players coming in lately, and that's kind of like the biggest question that they have is like, well, how do I get a playmat? I was like, well, you got to win.
That's actually the first thing that I think you want as a new. That was the first thing I wanted as a new player. Was like, I need a mat with those squares. I need a mat that shows it's a flesh and blood mat. And
yeah,
so
it's cool.
I got it from Jonathan. That was our first playmat.
Oh no, I don't even remember what mat now.
It was the Tree of Corsham one.
The Corsham,
yeah. You won the event, but we opened up the Spellbound Creepers, and we did a trade plus some other stuff. And that was our first playmat. We held that playmat high and proud.
I just think it's so funny because like you don't have Spellbound Creepers because of that as well.
It's true.
But yeah. I think that was such a good time. That's a throwback.
Yep. No, that's the thing. It's like it's one of the reasons why I think it was such a good time is because it's actually pretty fun to be a new player in this game. And I think the biggest thing that I noticed with this game, and going back to this playmat with them reprinting playmats for the benefit of the players, is I truly feel LSS listens to the players, or at least cares about the players' feedbacks more than like some of the other card games that I played. And so when you're a new player and you kind of get that feeling, it's a great time. Even now, playing this game for, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I can't remember, since Monarch, I'm still very much enjoying it. I still very much believe that LSS is like listening.
Yeah, we're still in our honeymoon phase.
We definitely are. Yeah. We have our fights here and there, but overall, it's a great time. It's a good.
This is the longest honeymoon I've ever had. But, like, it's awesome, right?
Yeah,
and like,
awesome.
like I don't know, man. Like this next pre-release for Outsiders is going to be so hype, right? You got 6 heroes.
Gabe, you just opened up a new store. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
No.
I'm excited though for this part. So it's Sneep, right? It's got to be called of course.
Oh, yeah, of course it's Sneep, baby.
Yeah,
Sneep
Gaming. So Gabe opened up a new shop, Sneep Gaming. He ran an armory. What was it? Last Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah,
Friday. That's
Friday. So 2 days ago.
Competes with F&M. I love it. Anyways,
sick.
Runs an armory. And how many people did you get?
So we had 10 people, and then there's 2 other people hanging out that they just weren't playing.
So
watching,
10 people in the middle of nowhere, Montana, all new people. Like, this game is definitely on the rise, and I gotta imagine that pre-release is gonna be so hype.
It's gonna be so sick. I mean, like, I know the Magic FNM didn't even fire that night, so it's good news, boys.
Flesh and Blood taking over Montana.
Yeah, no, it was sweet. All new people. They're all really stoked on the game. Got them all into it. The energy was just so high.
It's a great time to be playing some Flesh and Blood. That's for sure.
Without a doubt.
All right. Well, I think that kind of covers it. I guess I'll say this real quick. Spider Bite being the cold foil coming up.
I know, that's what I was so
excited. You're okay. Well, tell me about it. You get to compare.
I know. We were talking about this last time. I was like, "Where's my other Spider Bite?"
Now you get your Spider Bite.
I'm stoked.
Get some Regicide posters, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, hang it up in my room. Yeah, just look at it.
Is the Regicide poster the normal art, or is it the?
I wish it was the midnight. It's the normal.
That'd be cool.
You know what? Maybe have 3 normal, 1 midnight. You know what I mean? That would have been good.
Oh yeah, that's like one of the cards that I haven't gotten yet. Is the blackout promo? I'm like,
man. Staxwell has 3. It's insane.
Yeah, dude.
He won. Well, one was raffled, but he won 2 of them.
Holy cow!
Yeah, it was a good week for him.
Crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I remember you saying that Staxwell was really, hitting up the events and doing well during that off-season time. So I'm glad that he was able to capitalize on it. Right?
Yeah, he was rewarded for it for sure. Oh, I guess I want to say this. I haven't mentioned this. I won my Proquest at Reno, but
I was going to say, talk about the accolades the boys did.
Yeah, we had 3 guys on the team.
3 guys on this team that got it. So it was great. Our gold foils were, I got the Brave Forge, or not Brave Forge, I wish it was Brave Forge Bracer. I got the Bullseye's Bracers.
I think that's an excellent card, especially like
every Ranger plays it, right?
Now,
here's my fear. My honest fear is that Outsiders is going to have a new Ranger legendary equipment, and I gotta imagine it's going to be the arms.
I hope it's the chest though. We've been waiting for like a quiver, but like that.
A quiver would be dope, absolutely. But and if it's a new arms, the value of my gold extremely down. It will still be played because it is AB, so it's still good.
Speaking to that, I'm kind of curious if they're going to give like Riptide his own legendary to like help him enable traps a little bit better.
I think New Horizons will help with that, and to go to that point, I think that's why it's one of the legendaries getting printed. Although it's probably every legendary from Telzar is getting reprinted in History Pack. But
yeah, and New Horizon is also the most expensive legendary as well, which is like, that's so interesting. Where it's like a hero that
people see those Rangers coming. They know. People know.
Mm-hmm. It's such a beautiful card too.
The art is awesome. With the ProQuest poster for this ProQuest here, with it being New Horizons, I had to get it. It's just
did you get
it? I did.
Nice. I saw one up on the market the other day. Like, maybe I'll try to get that for Eric. So I was talking about it.
I had to get it and I got it. So I was very, very happy about that.
But yeah,
our other gold foils were Maxwell, or as you guys probably would know him, Staxwell, got the Achilles Accelerator, which he then sold unknowingly to another team member of ours.
Dude, it was so funny.
I remember like having that conversation. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you sold it to Brandon. Like out of all the people, and he's like, how did you know I sold it to Brandon? Wait,
it's funny because I went to Brandon's place and I stayed with him over the weekend, and we like played at Sacramento and Reno. But when I got to his place, we went to the mailbox, and I got to see the same Achilles Accelerator opened up again. It's great.
That's awesome.
Oh, God.
It's just full circle.
Funny.
Yeah, it was a full circle. It's great. And then Jeremy Sy on our team, he won his and got the Rosetta Thorn. So we all got great hits. That's no duds here.
Yeah, I think that as far as like heroes and their cards, like I feel like we all got cards that had good agency to those heroes.
Mm-hmm.
The only card that I feel like I'm like actually disappointed with during the gold foil season would probably be Bone Vizier.
Yeah.
I'm
the
like-
people that have them are making the argument. It's like it's never been in cold foil.
I disagree. I'm with the boys. It's the only cold foil.
It's just that one doesn't get played. Not even in Blitz.
I'll take that over that Frost.
I would take the Frost one because I honestly think the Frost one looks better in cold foil.
Dude, that thing looks wild. Like in that face with the mask or whatever. Super cool. I'm on the Bone Vizier plan.
All right, well, you could be the only one, but
I'll just buy them all.
All right, so Gabe is buying Bone Viziers.
Yeah,
Everyone
he's
needs
buying
to
them
sell.
out. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
for
Yes,
those
sir.
ridiculous prices I've seen them be put at.
Oh yeah, they are put out way too much. I will say that.
Yeah, no, it was scary opening up this gold foil because it was like there's a lot of duds this season. Bone Vizier, Coat of Frost, Vest of the First Fist, some big duds. So it feels nice when you get the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank the Lord.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about just everything under the sun. How y'all feeling?
I need to get on a flight because I heard that someone's cooking burgers in Vegas.
Hey,
So-
yeah, come on over.
I'll jump in.
I bet you can get on for like $54 round trip.
Oh, yes. So one final point that I want to make. LSS, hurry up and announce the Vegas event. I hope we have a Vegas event this year.
Come on. Yeah, so I'm starting to think, and it saddens me to think this, but I'm starting to think, unlike Tales of Aria, unlike Uprising, we're not going to get a world premiere event for Outsiders. It feels like they would have said something by now. Now, last time, they gave us like a month or two like in advance, which isn't anything in advance, really. You really want minimum 3 months. They said they got better with that, and they have in certain areas for sure. So that's why it makes me think it might not happen. I'm getting a little bummed out by that because
and just I know we're having this podcast is a Texas goodbye because we're just keep hitting up these topics. But from what I understand, if you look at the competitive schedule and just major events, they're all hosted by SCG Con. I'm not sure if the Channel Fireball contract, if that changed because of the TCG player buyout or whether that just ended. But that could possibly be some of the reasoning why we're not seeing more events being announced this year. So hopefully LSS can put themselves in a position where we can start seeing those events be hosted by either Channel Fireball or TCG Player in the future. But
we definitely want that for sure because SCG Con has like traditionally been in the East Coast. Going about as far as Dallas, but that's about as far as it goes. And then Channel Fireball traditionally in the West Coast. So for Vegas, it was almost always Channel Fireball. That's not to say SCG Star City Games never done one over there, and that it can't. But it just seems that that's kind of they prefer more in the East Coast, which is probably why we are getting the Pro Tour in Baltimore. There's so many other reasons, I'm sure, but it's again on the East Coast, closer to SCG home. It is interesting to think that might you really might be onto something there. That might just be the reason why we haven't seen something in Vegas yet, because there's every year there has been a Vegas event, and so that might be it. Might be onto something there,
and maybe getting ahead of ourselves here just a little bit, but what would we do without that, right?
Yeah. This is a speculation podcast for sure.
Yeah. So that's what we do. If Worlds isn't held internationally, which I think it probably will be this year, I really do hope that event gets held in Vegas if it gets held in the U.S.
Yeah, no, it's just at the very least, have the next big United States event be in Vegas, because you've had it near New York. That makes sense. New York City, very, very popular tourist area.
Easy.
I get the Baltimore. You're next to DC. You're next to Smithsonian. There's so many other things you could do in that area.
Attractions.
But let's be honest, that's not as known as like Vegas, right? Vegas is like known worldwide, you know.
Well, just the cost of the trip to get there too.
It's one of the
Vegas is
cheaper
one of the cheapest
ones
spots.
to get to. Vegas is just like the city, like a tourist, attraction for sure. Like,
Oh yeah, it was meant. It was meant.
Yeah,
for
I need to
tourists.
see my loved ones. So basically, Eric and Cheyenne.
Right?
yeah.
And Stackswell.
Bring
Stackswell too.
everyone.
Let's-
We are a tourist
Oh yeah,
trap.
that's taxi.
Yes.
But yeah,
Oh,
so
have you ever heard of Monty's Steakhouse, by the way?
Monty's Steak. No, I haven't.
Apparently, they have like the best mac and cheese ever. It's in Vegas.
You know what? Maybe I'll have to figure. You know what?
Next
When
time.
you come over, we'll go to Monty's Steakhouse.
I don't mind you and Stackswell scouting a little bit though, to make
Okay.
sure that it's good. So, because if it is that good, you guys would come back for seconds.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
In which case, rounds on me. But yeah, so I mean, I really want there to be a Vegas event again. Like, I'm already looking at food places like to go
Right.
eat with y'all.
It's
So
a
like,
great city. Yeah, we got to make this happen. Come on, Elsa. If it's not for the Outside World premiere event, then let's get a calling out here. Let's just get one more event out here.
James, I am not afraid to beg.
Big.
Please.
Honestly, and the other thing is, I want another team event, or I want a new event like Commoner.
I want to play in a team event. I want
Yes.
to play a team event.
Yeah,
Team
let's
event
Let's get something new out there. Let's just get away from the classic construction, the Blitz. Let's get a new one out there. Those are so much fun. All right.
Mhm.
Now,
How many,
I think we talked about everything under the sun and more. So, how you feeling, Gabe? Do we address everything on your mind?
I got one more
Okay,
question.
what we got?
Involves
let's do
Vegas. How many boys can we fit at your house?
We could. I mean, that's a question off camera.
Yeah, can we stack them on top of each
Like
other?
10 plus, 20 plus.
You know what? I could
Can we
probably
just
move
make
the
this like
car
a
from the
haven home
garage
for
and we
everyone?
could fit even more.
We get some bunk
Yeah,
beds.
yeah.
Just make the stations,
Yeah.
of course. But,
Awesome.
Man. No, I'm content.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks to all who have managed to come all the way to this very end. There's so many times you could have left, and I wouldn't have blamed you, but you made it here, and I appreciate that. You know what? Our viewer counts, I say this every time, but it's still true. Our viewer counts keep going up, both on Spotify and YouTube. So we're stoked to have you guys listening to us. We are going to get a little bit better than this last few weeks. Like I said, the Proquest happened, but we're going to get back on schedule, and we're looking to get a new guest in for the next one. So stick around, stay tuned. But until then, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Gabe. And thank you, guys. Keep on fabbing, and we'll see you in the next one.